So excited to be here today. Tell me, are you feeling stuck in the stress loop or disconnected from your own joy? And if you are, let me tell you, you are not alone in that. Today's going to be such a special conversation about reclaiming your joy and your creative power, midlife and beyond, and how this directly supports your nervous system and you rewiring that stress loop. I'm Jennifer Sack. I help wellness pros be more impactful as leaders and more financially successful, attracting and retaining more clients simply by showing up more confident, calm, and the embodiment of the peace and presence that they teach. And I'm going live today with Jenny Elinora, a creative transformation coach, a vocal healer, an award winning musician. That blows my mind. For a conversation about how play and creativity are powerful pathways to healing, to resilience, and authentic leadership, which is something we all want when we're out there leading others. So Jenny helps soul-driven women midlife and beyond reclaim their voices and their creative power through her offerings and her own journey of silencing, rediscovering, and finally releasing her voice is really inspiring. And I really feel like you'll find this relatable for many of you. So today, we're going to chat about creativity and play and how it's essential to healing stress and burnout. We're going to talk about how nervous system alignment and self expression really are woven together. And we're going to learn all about Jenny's story of reclaiming her voice after years of silence, as well as some simple ways that you can reconnect to your authentic self and your own momentum in building up that play and creative power in your life. Plus, Jenny's going to share some details about her upcoming Days of Play challenge. I cannot wait to hear about it. So, Jenny, please tell us, first of all, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
I'm
you.
very happy to have you here.
Thanks, Jennifer. It's really great to be here. I
Yeah, yeah.
value this opportunity so much. Thanks.
It's my pleasure. I would love to hear about your personal experience with your turning point and rediscovering your voice and your creativity after being silenced for so long. And I feel like we almost have to backtrack a little bit and answer the first part of the question or the tail end of the question first with what silenced you? Like what went on that you were silenced and what made you go, wait a minute,
Yeah.
we've got to turn this around. And I want all the viewers to really see if they can relate to this.
Yes. Yes. I think it's a common story. So, yeah, definitely relatable. I remember as a child being very creative and expressing myself all sorts of ways. However, I even by the time I remember a lot, like around 7 or 8 years old, even by then, I feel like I was doing it sort of more on my own. I felt um, discouraged, I guess, already, even by 7 or 8 years old, from sharing my stuff, from sharing things I had written, like poems, from sharing anything I drew, from sharing my voice, my physical singing voice, which was always the most powerful and important one for me, even then. So, yeah, I felt discouraged by that. And I don't specifically remember what did it. It's not like my parents were particular, they didn't like stamp me down or anything like that. And I I guess there are a couple of moments where I remember where it's like, oh, that's a stupid drawing or something like that, or you sound dumb kind of thing. I do, there are a couple of moments like that. And then I also think looking back and from what I've learned since then, that sort of, especially for women and girls and femmes, that generally culture just does that. It's like your voice is not valuable. So I think I was taking in a lot of messages like that that are totally just hits our subconscious and doesn't, we don't see them because we just grow up in them or steeped in them. Like I think it's the frog in the pot or something like that, right? Like that thing. So yeah, I gradually, and then especially also becoming a preteen around that time, I stamped it down. I tamped it down myself even more because I just did not feel supported and encouraged to be the whole creative self that I am. Um, and I would say there were, even at that time through my teens, I remember what Julia Cameron, who wrote The Artist's Way and does all those programs.
Yes.
that she,
Amazing.
yeah, it's great. She calls them creative monsters, right? So people and situations that actively are like at you and like make you afraid, like literally have fear of sharing your
Yeah.
creative self or
Yeah.
being it. Even sometimes to some degree, some of my clients never even like they tamped it down so much that I remember one of my clients saying she wouldn't even sing alone when she was by herself.
Oh,
That was so much. So yeah, that that story that's so familiar to all of us, and we all have different versions of it, but the fundamentals are the same. Where there's elements and or people around us that just make us think that we don't have the right to be creative and to share our creative joy and express ourselves.
yeah.
I
I can
think this,
certainly relate to that for sure. And just as you're saying that, I'm remembering, like, I kind of forgot these things. I remember drawing and then having someone find it, my brother, my older brother, of course, they're not nice, and saying something about it. So I put it away. I never drew again. And I wrote, binders full of poetry for years on end. And I think someone found one once and read it. And I was so terrified I never wrote again because I thought, what if they see it? Singing, oh my gosh, my mom said something one time and I never sang for anybody else again. It was one of those things I'll sing on my own. But wow, I kind of forgot. Like you
mm,
said, you get tamped down and it's in your subconscious. So this is
yeah,
incredible that as you're saying this, I'm like, oh my gosh. I remember, and I wonder if anybody watching this can do the same. What can you remember in your past of when you may have tried to express yourself and a creative monster, as you said, Julia Cameron said, comes
mhm,
along and scares scares it out of you. I'm sorry, that's a revelation in itself. So tell me more about your silencing and then the transformation where you were like, no, Moss, this isn't happening
no more, right? No more. Um, yeah, it's enough. That's enough.
anymore.
Is another feeling I have in there about it. So yeah, I had I tried to get back in college. I got into a chamber choir. I auditioned. I got into this like small group, the chamber choir, and I don't even know why I. Well, I do know why. Wow, what a memory. Okay, I do remember. I had my what I might call my first creative champion, which was one of my roommates who was in the chamber choir, who just knew that I liked to sing, knew that I felt weird about it, and just like you should just try out. And I don't know why, but I did. Like I don't remember it at all. Like I probably was completely disassociated from my body and the moment. Um, but yeah, I did do that. And then, I felt great about it. I remember that feeling. I do remember that. So great. And then I remember within one or two rehearsals, there was another alto next to me who turned to me one day and just was like, vibrato much, something like that. and
Oh,
and like so snarky and so mean voice. And I just, I've never been that kind of person to do that to other people. So and it always has taken me aback when people do. I haven't had it that much in my life, I don't think, but it really hit, and like I felt it in my belly. And I did not sing in front of anybody for at least a decade after that. So yeah, and then but I want to say I always want to move on though to the hope, right? Because
right.
because I did still, I did still maintain an ability to sing even when I was alone, to sing when I was alone, like sing in the shower and stuff.
My
I had
car, I'm like the ultimate singer in my car.
Yeah, car singing is the
I'm
best. I
like,
have a whole video on that. I
if
have a
anyone put
video.
a camera into my car, I would be mortified.
I love it. Well, I videoed myself and my partner doing it, and it's fun. I'll share that link around Facebook sometime in the future, in the near future. But yeah, so I was able to still do all that stuff, and then also I had kids. I had kids when I was 23. It was my first daughter,
Wow.
and singing to them just was like a really natural thing to do. So I was able to do it in those contexts. And I also worked with kids for a decade or more. And yeah, I was able to keep that thread going, even because of the little displacement. Like, okay, I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing it for them. Sometimes we need
Right.
those things. So it
Yeah.
kind of was that actually is incorporated into my programming now. We can displace something a little bit and move along there, and then bring it back to ourselves. So first tip. Anyway, so when I was 33, though, I got like my biggest life creative champion, who is my partner and now and is a musician, and was like, I don't know why spirit moved me to call to say, oh yeah, I wrote a song recently. And they're like, wow, let me hear it. Oh my God. And then just from there,
Terrifying though, right? Terrifying to share
well,
that.
again, I think, well, there was a readiness in me. And I think I had practiced dissociation from it all for so long that there was like there's some benefits to some ways of dissociating, right?
Yeah.
So that I was like, I knew in my gut that I had to share it with
Mhm.
them. And then I just did it. Again, I don't remember that moment where I did it, but I did it. And the story since then has been one of just continual expansion. Like very shortly after that, I ended up like teaching voice in my little rural community, and that
Oh,
just has expanded until now, which it
yeah.
expanded through bands and a women's empowerment band project, like a sort of burlesque rock thing.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, so cool.
a whole bunch. I was involved in a lot of things, and and then at some point when I was about 50, which was a few years ago now, I ended up putting out my own albums, and that creative uh, process was like a healing thing for me from some pain that I had been going through right before that. And um, yeah, so like it's just, and so then a couple of years after that, my album, which was last year, I expanded to, okay, I need to help others do this. I need to
I
help you
love
do
that.
this.
That's incredible to go from not wanting to sing in front of anybody to teaching people to sing and then putting out an album. That's a,
Yes.
that's a big leap.
It's
You know,
it's big, right? And for
big
it, it took like
juxtapose.
absolutely.
That's so cool. Well, I wonder, well, first of all, I love how you say that it was like your own form of healing.
Hmm.
And that's a really cool motivator. I think that it could be for some people that just by doing this and expressing yourself and tapping into that creative power, you're going to naturally heal parts of yourself that you wouldn't otherwise, and you wouldn't really expect. So that thank you for saying that, just because I think
Hmm.
that highlights one of the benefits that is kind of like something you wouldn't naturally think of as a benefit. And
Yeah,
then
well,
you said something like, "Oh, this is the first little tip." What? Go back to that. What was the first little tip?
oh gosh, can I remember? I don't
Oh,
remember
maybe to
at
do it
this
for someone
moment.
else? To like it was like singing to your children, so it was like to do it for someone
Oh, right,
else
to like
instead of your
take yourself over into another channel, right? Like whatever works, right? For me, it was,
Yeah.
helping others, which is a big thing for women, right?
Yeah.
Caregiving. And then allow yourself to have it as well.
Right.
So,
Yeah. You
yeah.
reap the benefit, because truly doing things for others is kind of a selfish act because in the
Yep.
end we feel good about it.
Yep.
So don't
Yeah.
lie, you like it.
Oh yeah.
Um, so, all right, let's talk a little bit about the power of creativity and how it's very helpful for stress reset. So, from you, I want to hear, why is creativity such a powerful healing tool? We talked a little bit about, wow, we just had the revelation that it is healing.
Hmm.
But not only that, why is it such a powerful healing tool? But when you focus on midlife and beyond, I'm
Hmm.
really curious about how you decided to weave that aspect on, and what is the emphasis on that time of life to you that is
Yes.
special and important?
Yes. I think that I spoke of readiness a few moments ago. I think that it's related to that when we get to midlife, as women, we uh, we're often kind of tired of the stifling and or suppression and or silencing, however
Yeah.
it's experienced all the ways depending on your social location, how marginalized you are within the society with your other identities besides being a woman. um, And yeah, we have experienced enough of it, and we're looking at like time and being like, well, now really needs to be the time when I can transform.
Yeah.
And we're doing it in all sorts of ways. And coaching in general, not just
Yeah.
creativity coaching, right, is exploding for this very reason among this
Right.
age group of us who are midlife and beyond. And yeah,
Yeah.
so
That's a
that's
great
part of it.
point. We
Yeah.
do get to this kind of point in our lives where things start happening to those around us that we know and love, or we grew up with, and we're like, wow, life is a little short. It's precious. When you're younger, you're kind of in the thick of it and you don't think of it. And then it starts
Mhm.
really showing up for you in a lot of different ways and reminding you, like, this is your life and you
Mhm.
better live it now.
Mhm.
you know, time's a ticking. So,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying then about, and also the readiness, because
Mhm.
it does take, I always say that frustration and anger is actually sometimes such a beautiful thing because there's
Mhm.
no greater catalyst for change than when
Mhm.
you are just fed up and you're done and you're
Mhm.
like, that is it. That is it.
Yep.
And I think you're right that we have to go through many seasons of our life
Mhm.
before we get that ready, where we're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and I will say though that like I have, through my own children, I have sort of like opportunities to be connected with younger generations and everything. And there is gloriously on the front on the subject and theme and front of creativity and play, there is a greater opening among younger generations than my own, which is Gen X. There is a more natural like like I'm doing this, I'm keeping these energies alive. Whether, that might not be how people define it or describe it like me, but they are keeping those energies alive within their lives. The 20 somethings and stuff right now, and younger, actively and consciously and intentionally. So I'm really excited to see that. And yeah,
That's interesting because I mean, we could think of it as, going away with every generation, but what you're saying is, no, actually, I see like a resurrection of play
right.
coming with the next generation
Yeah,
cropping
well,
up. And that's
yeah.
that's hopeful.
Yes. I mean, yeah, response to life, like, for the average person or whatever, getting a little more challenging in various ways, housing and healthcare, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So, mm,
Well, share with me some of your holistic approaches
mhm.
to this tapping into your power and your creativity and your play and
Yeah.
all of this. Share
Yeah.
with us how you go about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I guess so. The overview there about like why, I guess, is that like I am the creative champion now for my clients, right? I mentioned myself having creative champions, and now I am the creative champion because I know where you've been, and I understand like the time and the money and all the other challenges that and all the ways that we've been told, and now sometimes are telling ourselves that our creativity is like at best an afterthought, or like at worst worthless. And then somewhere along the way, me having faced all that and like using the tools that I've picked up, I end up I help you discover your like one of a kind formula to becoming the whole. And my program is called Grow Your Whole Voice, the whole expressive creative person that you're meant to be, and like meet your passions head on and fulfill your creative dreams and everything. And I do that through a variety of modes, like it's a different cocktail or whatever, or mocktail. That's one of my creative outlets, is making mocktails. That's a sidebar, but anyway, I do it through sound vibration healing through my own voice. And then if you're inclined to help you use your own voice for your own healing, like this instrument we have within us, I do it through one-on-one and group coaching settings. I have an online course. I have an online community. So there's basically things to choose from that are a web. Create a web or a cushion or whatever, however you want to think of it. For just supporting your whole creative self. And I'm also going to start offering retreats in 2026, because I have just recently realized consciously, of course I knew this all along because it's been part of my path, that taking ourselves out of our, well, sort of like what I was saying before with the tip, taking ourselves out of the moment, taking ourselves out of our day-to-day lives, can help us uh, get back to our whole selves more because we don't have the patterns that are swirling around us when we go on retreat and stuff. That's why we do these things, right? So
Right.
that builds the energy of change and transformation a lot more powerfully and a lot more quickly. And like we said, we're midlife and beyond here,
Right.
so we want to get moving.
Yeah. And I love how you mentioned that it helps you get back to your whole self.
Mhm.
So that's kind of in effect the whole healing too. You are integrating all of the aspects of yourself together, and this is going to help you feel less disconnected and feel more embodied. And that's like all a part of the healing that you would experience, I imagine, by doing such things. Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought up the sound with your voice and the instruments. So I love sound healing. I'm like level 1 certified. I'm not very far down the pike, but I have the sound bowls and the tuning forks. And
Mhm.
I remember, vibration is powerful.
Yeah.
You can feel it changing you. You really can. And I remember when I first started teaching yoga, it's very common to end a class with an om.
Yeah.
And I could speak to them all day about the poses and how they should do it and what to experience, where to engage, where to relax, proper alignment. But I
Mhm.
tell ya, when I first started teaching, speaking out that om at the end in front of a room of people was the scariest thing. And my voice would crack. And of course, that would make me more anxious. And it really took a lot until the point where I felt like I could just comfortably let it rip,
Mhm.
for lack of better words, with my own personal vibration, which we all have.
Yeah.
And I think that's a funny thing to think about because many of us are very used to, being able to go out and do many aspects. But when it comes to certain things that trigger us and make us feel, again, that like reminder of shame, and maybe it was something from subconscious from your childhood or whatnot,
Mhm.
you stifle yourself and really, especially for us leaders out in the wellness world, that's exactly what we're meant to go do is express ourselves authentically so that we can lead others and so that we can make an impact. But when you're stifled in that way, you're impacted and you are not able to give your 100%, which is really the medicine that everybody needs. So
Mhm.
I think this work is so important and so powerful. Do you have a story of like a client transformation, what their experience was, where they started and where they ended up after working with you?
Yes, and I have a real recent one because I just realized the extent of it last night during a group event that we were having
Just
in
in
our online,
time to share today.
like
How
just last night.
kismet.
Right. I'm excited about this. Yeah, because it's one of the most visceral and palpable things a client has ever expressed to me. So sometimes this creativity work, a lot of it's at the level of the subconscious. A lot of the changes are happening at the level of the subconscious. So like people don't always connect the dots, like, oh, we did this 2 months ago and then this is happening, right? But there was a very clear moment last night on one of our events. We were having a brag fest on our online community to like reclaim our energies of self-expression and confidence in being able to express, yeah, I did a great thing, right? Like, wow, what a novel idea to be able to express ourselves in that way. But so we were practicing basically. And so then one of my clients there shared about a moment that she had recently, and she was speaking of it as she just felt some like pure joy energy, like all of a sudden at some random time when she didn't even expect it, like it just like was this physical or visceral feeling that she was having that was very powerful. And so for her context on like the work we've done together, we started out back in the spring with one of my creative pathways sessions, which is like a 4 hour deep dive, creating a roadmap for your creative goals and your dreams. And then after that, for a few months, she's been on the online community. We've been doing what's called our summer of play. I'll talk about that maybe a little later. And where basically we practice play consciously and intentionally throughout every day and every hour, even sometimes. So through all this stuff, my client um with 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 the practice that that has allowed her in the transformation that opened up in her. She opened up what I would call her creative energy channels. They're opening, and she then is now actually getting more energy for all the stuff that she needs and wants to do. And that's, frankly, that's like really important for her right now because she's moving. She's like going through a move, right? And we all know how stressful and challenging that can be. So I'm like really glad she's getting the support through this. I will say that a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just going to wait to do this kind of thing till after this is done, like after the school year is over, the work on the house is finished, or
Yeah.
I get into
I
the
always
next.
call it the mirage of the perfect
Right,
time. Like it will
right,
never come, never
right.
come
No,
because as soon as that moment comes, you're like, you'll have another mirage of the perfect time.
exactly. I heard recently a couple of times in one day, like, oh, I'm gonna wait till I get to the next phase in my business. Like it was something related to that, and then I'll relax. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
how do I tell people, without like being like, you're wrong, because you're not wrong. But the fact is, like, those times are really stressful, and having support for your creativity and play is one of the most powerful things that you can do to get through those times with more energy and more focus
Yeah.
and more joy, and because that's what
Well,
we want,
yeah,
right? So I
absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm just glad for my client, because before our sessions, she was really overwhelmed about the move. And she was like, her words were like, I have to move. I have to do the things involved with moving, which was honest. But last night, her beautiful words, I remember them. I remember this so distinctly, to describe this process are even more, like, I'd say they're more deeply honest. She actually said, I'm creating this transition in my life. And like,
Wow.
so and from I have to move to I'm
Yeah.
creating this transition in my life. And
Yeah.
I like, how gorgeous is that?
That's gorgeous because it's like almost from a victim state of I have
Yeah,
to, like this dread, this heavy, into this empowered
yeah,
state of like I am the one shaping my future. Like it's
yeah.
very, very cool to see that to come through. And
Mhm,
I love how you mentioned that, she has, more energy and creative channels are opening and that affects your stress. It's going to help you out. It's going to
mhm,
alleviate stress. So it's this funny thing that happens here. So when you get stressed out or you're under chronic tension for some time and it sort of blocks that creativity, right? It blocks your access to it or what you call like your channels to it kind of
mhm,
probably constrict and you think, well, I gotta deal with the stress in order to be able to be more creative and have that play. But you're saying why don't we start there with the play and the creativity and like reverse engineer this and your stress is going to naturally alleviate. The chronic tension will naturally go away. Your creative channels will naturally unlock more energy. So you don't always have to start with the stress. Like a tool you could have to do that is through the play, through the creative connection, right? Would
mhm.
you second that?
I second that, and I amplify it because yeah, my experience, awareness, and absolute certainty at this point, like my faith, I guess, is that we are, each of us, like, what we are. One of the things that like absolutely defines who we are as humans and what we are as humans is our creativity. We are creative beings. We create our world and our lives as we move through them, literally.
Really, I
Literally
mean,
through
your
vibration.
perspective, your
Yes,
vibration, your
yes.
perspective, the words you use, like you said with her, the words you use, everything is
Mhm.
really, and words are vibration,
Yep.
essentially.
Yes,
So, wow,
absolutely. Yeah.
wow. Well, I would like to offer anyone watching this to do a little reflection for yourself and just ask yourself, when was the last time you truly felt playful or expressed something for you or allowed your creativity to come out? Because it might be alarming. Might be alarming for some of us to think, oh my gosh, I don't remember the last time. Think on that because
Yeah.
the time is now. There, like we said, there everything else is a mirage and when it's going to be a perfect time. And fixing your stress first isn't going to necessarily lead you to the play. The play can fix your stress, and you should really consider bringing this into to everyday and to everyday play, which
Yeah.
brings me to want to talk about your Days of Play challenge. So, what can you share with us about this upcoming challenge you have and when it is, what it's about, what they
Yeah.
can expect, and how it helps them?
Yes, I will do that. First, I would just want to say one more tip. Like
Yeah.
you said, Jennifer, that like it might be alarming when we're like, oh, I haven't. There has not been a recent time, right, that I can remember. I do encourage everybody to think little, right? To like even if it's just a micro moment where you like saw the sunlight shine in a certain way and we're like, whoa, like it made you feel something, or where you heard a song, right? And was just like enjoying it, right? And really feeling like there with the song. That is one of those times. Like you can count that. It
Oh,
counts.
good. Oh,
And
good.
because that's what the everyday play system that I've developed is built upon. It
Yeah.
starts with micro moments, what I call
Okay.
micro doses of play that we could give ourselves. And I do three of them throughout, at least three throughout every, I have a list that if I can't think of a microdose to do, I have a list that I choose from. Things like going out and swinging on the swing for it's things you can do in 5 minutes or less. I like going out on the swing and
I love a
swinging.
good
I have a
swing.
swing in my
Nothing makes me
backyard,
happier than swinging on a swing.
right? I
I need
do.
one though. I don't have a swing.
Yes. I like gargle in the shower. That's one of my favorite go-tos. Or again, for me, the sunlight, just feeling the sunlight on my skin. So yeah, I'm curious,
Yeah.
Jennifer, like if you have any little things that you do.
So here's a funny thing. I was just before we went on live, I was looking out the window and I saw our bikes lined up out there.
Mm,
And I have a bike. Why I don't ride it more, I don't know. Because when I get on that thing, I am like 10 again. I don't know what happens. My
yes.
whole heart lights up. It's something that feels so amazing to me
Yeah.
just to going down our road is just like a dirt road, like nothing special about it. But I am in hog's heaven. And I just thought to myself, why am I not my bike every day. And then I started to
Mm-hmm.
talk myself out of it. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me, like, listen to
It's a
what I'm going to
thing.
tell you and tell me what you've probably seen this with clients.
Yep.
I start getting all logical about it. I start going,
Mm-hmm.
well, really, what am I live on the same dirt loop road. What am I going to ride that every day? What's the point of that? Am I just when in my day am I actually going to do that? And then I start, well, I live somewhere that the weather is really inclemental half the time. When would I'd have to pick and choose because of the
Mm-hmm.
weather. So
All the
here I went
thoughts.
from being elated and inspired, just thinking about the pure joy of like, God, I love riding my bike. I'm going to do that more. And then I quickly deflated myself by
Right.
getting all logical and talking myself out of why that's a stupid idea.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me
I will.
now, coach me on that. Let's
I
give us a
will.
little live coaching session.
A little moment. Yes, I love this. So, okay, you're describing that you had this moment of joy, right? You had it in you, right? And then the thought started, and then after that, you were putting the joy over here. Like literally, I saw you do that with your hands. So, so what you're gonna do, literally in that moment, is then wherever you feel that joy has went to, when you notice that you're thinking, I mean, try to notice that those are the thoughts, right? And then step into wherever the joy went. Literally, just step there and go to the bike, right? Like as soon as you can, even if it's not the moment to do it, just go touch it and promise it. I'm gonna ride you at this time, you know. So there you go.
Got it. I love it. And
Yeah.
even if I just did a loop around my yard, I swear I would be
Yes.
like, it would fill me with so much
Oh,
energy and joy.
yeah, my son, we went on a month-long trip across the country a few years ago, and like at one point he remarked, we were passing some guy in San Francisco who was on his bike, and he was grinning from ear to ear. And my son was like, whenever you see somebody on a bike, it's pretty rare they're not having some kind of at least inside smile going on. They're,
Yeah.
like so.
Yeah.
Biking's a good one. And nature, by the way, is the other. I did some
Yeah.
interviews back in the spring, which is kind of what led to the Days of Play that's coming up, and the Everyday Play system. I did interviews and well, nature with women, women midlife
Mhm.
and beyond, about what helps them be creative and what helps them activate their creativity, and nature, anything related to nature,
Yeah.
it does that. And I think biking kind of fits that category. In one way, you're feeling the wind, you're usually
Yeah.
outside.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, the birds chirping is one for
Yeah,
me.
you can
Like
hear
it
the
makes me
birds.
feel really whimsical if the birds are
Right.
chirping. So I
Yay.
could see that. So tell me about the Days of Play
Yeah,
challenge,
it
more
does.
about it.
Okay, we did one in May, and we're doing another one September 1st through 5th. It's 15 minutes a day of just getting online together. There's also replay, so you could do it for yourself later if you can't, if the timing doesn't work out. Of getting into through practicing microdoses of play, like I said, I'll set up a few examples, into how our own play systems and preferences work, right? There's lots of playful micro moments throughout it, sprinkled through to practice and experience the impacts that those will have on our mood immediately, like even talking about the bike just a minute ago, like people who are imagining that and who allow themselves to feel that through you, like it just, they could feel it, right, that it lifted you immediately to think
Yeah.
about it. And then so yeah, we'll also explore our unique play habits and why they matter so much, and share a few stories and inspirations about play in our lives. And I will say that because it only is 15 minutes a day, the concentration of that is that it will make us directly tap into our play preferences and like synchronize our activities with the way we're wired, right? What we choose to do,
Right.
synchronizing with the way we're wired, which actually saves time and energy in the end. And yeah,
And kind of gives energy, right? It
yes,
almost gives you
gives
more
it,
energy.
right, saves and
Yeah.
gives. Totally, thanks.
Yeah. I love that. And it's cool that you talk about how we have like our own personal, say that again. What did you call it? Our own
Personal
personal.
play preferences. This was
Okay.
based on the research of Stuart Brown from the National Institutes of Play. That, yeah, we all have our own kind of, uh, I'm going to use the word mocktail or cocktail again.
Yeah.
That is our makeup. That like it's not all, we're not all the same in this way. So
Right.
yeah.
I just had a question come to mind off the cuff here, and I wondered what your perspective on it would be when people feel like sometimes people like what if coloring was someone's personal play preference and they're
Mm-hmm.
like I love coloring, it just does something for me, so
Mm-hmm.
they want to sit down and color every day,
Mm-hmm.
but then they have the nagging voice that tells them you should be doing something better. Like, what are
Mm-hmm.
you doing here? This is selfish. Why are
Mm-hmm.
you just sitting around lounging, coloring? Like, what about that negative voice that talks us out of pursuing our joy? Do you
Yes.
have that come up with your clients? What do you advise for them?
Comes
What do you
up
think
with
on that?
me, comes up with clients, comes up because that's what we're trained to do, right? Culturally trained to be like, oh, I should be doing
You
something else.
are not worthy. This is
Right,
not worthy of your
right.
time.
And
Right.
and
Yeah.
and in another thread, like play and creativity are second to everything, or they're the last thing you do
Yeah.
after all
It's
your
like a
responsibilities
reward.
are
And
done,
if you
right?
did your chores.
Right,
Yeah.
but then once you get there, you're so exhausted it doesn't even feel like a reward, right? That's why a
No.
lot of the rewards we give ourselves don't end up working, or that
Ah,
in a lot of systems. So the building in, and I guess you'll have to come to the challenge to like really learn how to do this, but like building in the permission and boundaries for ourselves about what we choose, and
yeah.
how to choose that, how to choose those moments, um and choose to spend that time to give ourselves time. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay, well, I do want to let everybody know there is a link in the comments here. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, in the description for you to find that Days of Play challenge, as well as a link to get to Jenny for a free wake up call session. I just want to really express the fact that we don't need to choose between leading others and helping our stress and whatever and really nourishing your own creative power. They really can work hand in hand because nourishing your creative power is only going to support you in, relieving stress, chronic tension, and in leading others as well. So I think the best way to think about it is like creativity does really equal nervous system alignment
Yes.
via resilience and joy and just, that authenticity that you get to tap into. Would you agree? What do you have anything to
Yes,
lend to that?
I do. I actually, a phrase came to me recently, that sort of encompasses that in a poetic way or something. It's I create, therefore I am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Rather than I
just
think, therefore I am, I
yeah,
create.
exactly,
I love
exactly.
that.
And
That's good.
thinking maybe is then just a part of creativity, right?
Yeah,
It's like the
for
wholeness
sure.
is in creativity and being our
Right.
creative beings. Thinking is a tool, is another tool, and so is feeling, and so is flow state, right? Which we can
Flow
get
state.
into quicker and easier, which then connects
Yeah.
us with our joy, all the
Right.
progressions. Yeah.
That flow state, I love that when, time just disappears. And I think that's a real key factor too, to maybe realizing what your play preference is,
Mhm.
because if you are doing something where time disappears and you look up and you're like, oh my gosh, it's been an hour, I didn't even know. Um, Other than things like scrolling on TikTok or something.
Yeah.
But
Well,
but
those are
yeah,
disconnective in a way,
those
but
are
things that,
disconnected.
yeah.
Connected activity that
Hmm.
takes you out of the time loop or whatever, that might be a key indicator that, hey, you really enjoy this because
Hmm.
you weren't wrapped up in any of that linear stuff. You were so
Hmm.
absorbed in the moment and your joy with this. So, well, Jenny, thank you so much for sharing your story, your wisdom, your tips, your client transformation stories, and just being vulnerable and sharing your whole everything you have to give today about the topic of play and tapping into the creativity. I just really hope that anybody watching walks away feeling inspired and remembering that it's never too late to reclaim your joy and your creativity in your life. And I want to ask you if you have any last imparting words of encouragement or inspiration or reminders that you really would just love to leave the viewers with.
Yeah, I'll do it because again, right before I got on here, I saw something from April Wyatt, connector extraordinaire, on LinkedIn, who she said the phrase in one of her posts, uh, and it so applies to anything we're doing, anything we were starting, like creativity and play, to getting that into our lives. She said, it's not someday, it's today. She literally, I think that was the exact wording of it. Yeah, it's not someday, it's today. And
Yeah,
that's it.
that's all. It's a part of the mirage that someday, right? Today
Hmm.
is what you have to work with, and all of your feelings and emotions are right here, right now. So, putting anything off is not doing you any service whatsoever. So, thank you for the reminder to tap into today, the power of it, the power of play and creativity. So, everybody, please, I encourage you to join Jenny's Days of Play challenge coming up September 1st through the 5th. Just 15 minutes a day to reconnect with you, with play, with joy. The link again is in the comments of this post or in the description if you're on YouTube. And if you're a wellness pro and you just really want to make sure that you're living in alignment with the way that you're leading in the world, grab my Align Your Life with Your Teachings free resource and weave play into it. Make it a part of what your alignment is and what you do to embody what it is that you're going to preach, to lead out there to others, so that you can come from that grounded, authentic, and resilient place. That also will be in the comments or in the description. And again, just let this whole conversation today be your reminder. It's possible to reset your stress loop. It's possible to reclaim your creativity and lead from that place of true alignment. And really, starting with play and creativity may be all you need to help you do that, to help you feel better. And I'm so grateful again, Jenny, for you coming on. Thank you so much for being a part of this today.
Thanks, Jennifer.
You're welcome. My pleasure. All right. Thank you, everybody else, for joining. And we will just simply see you next time.